Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's RoboCop, brought to us by Data East. RoboCop, of course, is based on the 1987 film that would go on to have 2 sequels, as well as many other video game adaptations. The game and movies take place in a dystopian future, where a corporation has taken over the police force in a Detroit that's been completely ridden by crime. They create a program called the RoboCop program to basically turn a recently deceased cop into an ultimate fighting machine. Alex Murphy, a young cop who ends up on his first assignment tracking down some bank robbers, ends up in front of a crime lord and gets killed pretty violently. So he ends up becoming RoboCop, and his whole purpose is of course trying to stop the crime that's been riding through the city. So here we go with RoboCop for the NES. Now the gameplay is a pretty rather simple run-and-gun type game, very similar to what you would see from an arcade game during this period of time. Though I have to admit, it does have a few little nice cutscenes that we get to see before each of the levels. In RoboCop, you can actually have a few weapons, however you can't use your gun until the game allows you to. You start off with only being able to use your fist at first. Most enemies are going to be pretty easy to attack, and all they're going to do is try to run at you and try to hit you straight on. One simple punch from RoboCop can destroy a normal human, dog, or motorcycle. After a certain amount of time, you'll be able to take out your gun. Thankfully, your default gun, the pistol, has unlimited ammo. You also can look at the bottom left and see 2 different bars, the T and the P bars. The P is your health, which you'll lose as you take damage, of course, but the T is how much time you have left on your batteries. You'll have to get batteries so you can replenish that, or else RoboCop will run out of power and end up falling over and dying that way. Underneath the functions, you have 4 different types of special functions. The one that's constantly flashing is your enemy alarm, telling you that there's enemies nearby, and since there's always enemies, it's going to be flashing for pretty much all the game. The far right one tells you how much energy you have left, and when it starts blinking, that means you have low energy. When the fist is blinking, that means you can only use your punch, and the other one on the far left is a weak wall sensor, allowing you to know when you can actually punch certain walls. Here's your first boss of the game. All I have to do is stand still and time my punches correctly, and it keeps walking into my fist over and over again. As long as you time your punches correctly, you should have 0 trouble getting past this boss. The second level of the game is a little bit more complex. There's a little bit tougher enemies to deal with. Watch out for the windows on the top that have flamethrower enemies as well as gunners that will appear. After these dogs, watch out for this enemy with a shield. Duck down in order to shoot him in the legs to take him out, or else you'll end up getting your shots deflected. Be sure to pick up the health on the far right before entering the building. Once inside, start moving your way over to the left. You'll see that there's a few doors in the background. However, if you go into one of the doors on the second floor, you'll be able to find a shortcut to the boss. Stop inside this room and be sure to grab the gun on the ground before exiting. This will allow us to have a much easier time against the boss later on. Over here, grab the battery on the far left before climbing up the staircase. I have to admit, RoboCop walking up the stairs is a little bit funny looking. Once upstairs, punch through the first couple enemies and skip the first door. Then we're going to switch over to our submachine gun, the gun that we picked up in the other room. When you get over here, you'll have to take out another one of the guys, which is pretty much just the boss from the first level. And once again, our punches is pretty much all we'll have to do in order to take him out. It does take a few hits, but once you take him out, be sure to grab the health if you need it, because you'll then have to battle a second one. If you want though, you'll actually be able to climb up the stairs and you kind of get him glitch against the right wall, and he can't climb the stairs so he'll just ignore you. Once up here, you'll have your gun out. When you get near the wall, keep punching it in order to break it open so you can get through, and before the wall ends up crushing you. It's then time for the second boss. Stand still and have your gun ready, and as soon as you can, be sure to get ready to shoot the boss while his hostage ducks down. You don't want to accidentally kill the mayor here. As long as you stay ducked for the most part, you'll be able to duck under most of the guy's fire and be able to get up and hit the guy. After a little while though, the mayor will run off, in which case you can then just keep firing with your submachine gun straight at the boss and kill him after only a couple of blasts. Once you beat him, you get a thank you and you move on to the next level. However, before the next stage, we have a training mode minigame. In this, you control a cursor and move it around shooting different targets. The more targets you're able to hit, the higher score you'll get at the end. Stage number 3 takes place in the storage building. This level also has our first opportunity to battle the main boss of the game, Clarence, as well as it actually has 2 bosses. Try to do your best to avoid some of the fire from the enemies here, in case you have low health going into the stage. The good thing is, past the staircase on the first floor, you'll be able to grab some extra health. Be sure also to grab the gun on the far right. For the most part, the normal enemies that you'll be facing throughout most of the levels are pretty much the same ones we saw in the very first stage. They pretty much have a death wish and are going to be just running towards your gun or your fist depending upon what you're getting to use at that time. Before going down this staircase, be sure to grab the extra health if you need it, as well as a battery on the far right. Then backtrack to the staircase and head down. The worst enemies in this area are definitely the purple ones, since they run and do a jumping kick to you. However, if you do your movement correctly, you can get them to jump right over your head and run off screen that way. Over here to the left is an optional but very, very important Cobra rifle, the best gun in the game. However, if you decide to go grab it, you'll have to fight another one of these giant guys. Once he's done, head back to the right, pick up the health if you do need it after fighting that giant, and then head back to the left here. Once back up here, go to the right and continue on in the stage. When you get into the elevator, be sure to stop at the floor below so you can grab yourself a battery replenishment on the far left, then get back on the elevator. Once down here, you'll see a door down below the steps. Be ready to take out the guy with the shield again like we did earlier. Thankfully, you can actually just shoot him from the stairs to take him out. In the next room, you'll see Clarence, the main boss of the game, in the upper right, and he'll start firing grenades at you. Stay on the bottom and take out a few of the enemies to the left of you, and then start heading over to the right and try to get some fire in on Clarence. Once you get a few shots though, he'll disappear up the elevator and you'll have to fight 3 of his minions at once. Keep firing straight up and try to hit as many of them as you can before they end up dropping down. When the enemies get down, get out the Cobra rifle and fire it twice to take them all out. This is a really tough battle, so I highly recommend using the rifle here. Stage number 4 is the first one where we'll have to battle some new enemies. Instead of the normal human-type thugs, we'll have to deal with some robots. They take multiple shots to kill, but they're pretty simple as well since they move so slowly. You should have plenty of time to get some fire in and destroy them. At the end of the floor, you'll get inside an elevator, which will take you up to the next one. One of the big annoyances on the other floors is these automatic guns. The things about them though, they can only shoot in 2 different directions. They can't shoot all around. So this gives you a great opportunity to actually just wait for their fire to dissipate and then walk right by them. The other big annoying thing though is these missile launchers. However, you can just duck right underneath their fire. When you walk for a little bit, a wall will come down and you'll have to face off with a gun at the top. Just keep firing straight up and destroy it, because thankfully you get a full amount of health right after destroying it. Watch out on this floor for the thug with the longer gun. He'll be able to probably get one shot in on you, but as long as you're firing straight, you'll also be able to take him out in one shot. When you get to the end, you'll actually have a little bit of a scene before a giant gun will end up coming up. Just duck down in front of it and keep firing and you'll take it out in just a couple of seconds. Immediately afterwards, there's another one of those guys with a longer gun, and he'll instantly get a shot in on you before you're able to take him out. Be careful of the auto gun on the ceiling before entering the next room. And now it's time for the boss battle of the stage, the dreaded ED-209. Get up right close to it and start firing in a diagonal pattern. When its gun starts to rotate, immediately step backwards so you can avoid getting hit by the fire. Then get up close to it again and keep firing once again at it. You may get hit by its second thing of fire, but you'll be able to take it out very quickly and you won't lose too much health. Now we'll have to fight this thing later on in the final level, but it's a little bit harder then. Next up, you have another one of those training mode minigames. Now we have only 2 more levels left to go. Stage number 5 starts out outside of a steel factory. Be careful of the few enemies you'll see on the tops of some of the buildings, but other than that, it's pretty much just the standard fare. The enemies that are running along the top part of the level will try to fire down at you, but a simple shot will easily take them out. If you need some health, be sure to grab the health next to the staircase before climbing up. You'll have to go up so you can get past the wall and continue on. If you ever get ganged up on by some of the enemies together, you can always duck down and press the select button, allowing you to dodge, and you'll be able to actually dodge some of their blast. Duck down here after grabbing the item because there's going to be a guy with a Cobra rifle coming towards you. Be sure to take him out by just staying ducked and keep firing directly at him to kill him. Grab the gun and then move on to the next area. Be sure to grab the battery as soon as you enter the next area because you'll need it probably by this point. There will be a helicopter trying to bomb you on the top area, but just keep walking to the right. Now here's the boss matchup against Clarence, and trust me, this is one of the easiest bosses you'll ever have to deal with. As soon as you enter the room, do not press the D-pad at all. Do not move at all. Instead, just aim your shots at Clarence as he runs around the room. He does have a Cobra rifle which can do significant damage to you, but for some reason he will never fire it as long as you don't move in the stage at all. If you move a little bit and then stand still, he'll start firing. However, if you just stay still from the very beginning, he'll never fire a shot at you, and you can easily defeat him. Next up, it's stage number 6, and we start off on a conveyor belt. This is the final level of the game. After walking just a little bit, you'll end up running into one of these exploding canisters. Just keep punching it a few times in order to destroy it, and then try to keep moving forward, watching out for the helicopters, as well as more of the canisters. This can definitely get quite annoying, but you'll have to keep powering through and slowly make your way over the conveyor belt. Eventually, after trying to power walk over that conveyor belt for a while, you'll finally come to solid ground once again. Once inside the building, you end up putting your gun away once again. Keep continuing to the right, but be careful because it's going to be one of those giant muscle guys to fight again. When you get out of the elevator, you'll pull out your gun and it's time to battle some more of those little robots that we saw earlier on in the game. Just keep ducking down and they move pretty slowly just like before, and you'll be able to get a good amount of fire in on them. If you're lucky, one of them will drop a gun. When you get over to the right, get out your submachine gun and duck in front of the giant robot again, and just keep firing till you destroy it. It only takes a second or two of fire to get rid of it. Over on the right, you'll have to battle another one of those enemies that has a Cobra rifle. Thankfully, by ducking and taking them out easily, you'll also get a Cobra rifle for yourself, which we'll use against the final boss. Watch out for the gun on the top once again before entering the final door. Once you get outside the elevator, you'll have to deal with another one of the giant muscle guys. However, if you punch him back just a few times, you should be able to walk into the boss battle. Get over to the right against the ED-209 and immediately use your Cobra rifle first. Then get up close to it again and use your submachine gun till you run out of ammo, then finally switch to your gun. It's the same pattern as before, except he has more health this time, so it'll be a lot harder to take him out. However, if you have 4 Cobra shots, you should have no problem beating him. Just watch out for his motions, and when he rotates the gun, be sure to back away, and when he starts pointing right down, be sure to duck in front of him, and you won't get hit by his machine fire. Once he's done, you can enjoy the ending. So there you have RoboCop for the NES. Unlike a lot of the other the video game adaptations, this one isn't too bad. It's a pretty straightforward action beat 'em up, But it works rather well, and the controls actually do what they're supposed to, unlike many of the LJN licensed games. After the credits, you'll see you again, and that'll wrap up this edition of Play It Through. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.